Dude, we're going to Mars.
Welcome to the rabbit hole. Bienvenidos a el Hoyo del Conejo. Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. Thank you for joining us in el Hoyo del Conejo, the rabbit hole. I'm your host, comedian Raymond Horta, comedian extraordinaire, and today's special guest, man, we got an awesome guest, a mentor of mine in the comedy game and in the radio game, and this dude has been all over the place. He is a jack of all trades and a master of all as well. One of the smartest dudes that I've ever met in my life. And he doesn't even have a high school diploma, bro. For real, right?
I don't even have a GED either.
No GED. And you know what? You're the one that told me what GED stands for. Or was it?
Good enough diploma.
Good enough diploma. That's right. And my friend here, Rock and Roll James, the legendary Rock and Roll James. If you've never heard of him, he's been in radio for, how long have you been in radio, bro?
About 34 years, bro.
34 years. About to be 35, bro. Yeah. 35 years. Dude,
Actually, August 12th will be 34 years. What's today?
August, we're past that, I think.
Yeah, you just passed the 34-year mark.
Okay,
wow, dude.
1988,
He doesn't
August
even know
12th.
when his anniversary is.
Man, so that's when you first started radio?
That's crazy.
Yeah, August 12th, it was a Saturday morning. I was working as a DJ in Harlingen at a nightclub called Studio 4, and I'd work till 4 in the morning. I went on the air at 6 a.m. Who the fuck needs to sleep, right? I mean, shit, man, I was 21 years old. I didn't give a fuck.
Estabas bien pollito.
He invented Team No Sleep, baby.
Chingos de HGH, carnal.
Dude, guys, if you've never heard of Rock and Roll James, he has his own podcast called #PVT. Show him. It's one of the best, really intense interview shows. You have some intense interviews on there.
Intense, es puro cagar palo.
No, you had some really.
It's intense cagando palo.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that.
I've seen some people get mad on there.
Yeah, we have. I've been guests several times where because Rock and I like to antagonize, and we like to troll these people.
And we like to congratulate each other on our trolling abilities.
Oh yeah,
as well. Man. I mean, it's a teamwork. It's
teamwork makes the dream work around here, guys. So
he was freaking out because there was this article that I saw about the butthole tickler was caught.
Oh yeah, what was up with
the
that?
serial butthole tickler.
Was that real?
In North Texas, right?
Yeah.
And so I took the guy that did it. Right?
Yeah.
I took his picture off and I put a picture of a friend of mine with a whiskey decal.
Yeah, no, that went viral.
and then I did, and then I put it up and I go, chinga se fuera quitar la cap.
He made it seem like one of his fans had gotten busted.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Free publicity.
Yeah, that was the best, bro. Everybody was commenting.
Dude, this guy taught me everything I know about guerrilla marketing.
Yeah.
I learned from this gentleman right here, Rock and Roll James, while we were working at Que Pasa 99.5 on the radio. I remember the first time that I was just like blown away by this man, right? What he taught me, dude. The first time that you ever showed me perception is reality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because Rock we were trying to interview these girls to be on our show.
Yeah.
And we were trying to find a real good-looking women. But then the good-looking women that would go in there, they really didn't have a lot on the radio. They didn't have a lot of personality. They were just there, nice to look at, right?
Yeah.
And then we brought in this girl que estaba gordita.
Yeah.
But her voice sounded real sexy. Mm-hmm. And she had a lot of personality and she was super funny. Mm-hmm. And we were having this discussion. And he says, no, bro, we can make her seem like she's supremely hot and she just nobody will ever know.
It was pre-social media.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it was pre-social media. Facebook was barely coming around, I think.
Yeah. And it ended up happening. We were going around, like, we would do events, and she wasn't at our events. We would keep her in the shadows. It's crazy how the radio works. But you know what's crazy, though, is that I saw it firsthand. What he said is that people would come up to us at our events when we were doing live remotes and stuff. Oye, güey, ¿qué onda con la baby? No, ¿qué está trabajando?
Like, fuck you all. Where's the chick?
Yeah,
Where's the chick at?
Hey, está bien buena, okay, bro? Está bien buena. And we're, because on the radio, when she would start talking, we would make it seem like, oh, yeah. Like, and I was playing the voice of this old man, and I would be like extraordinarily just romanticizing about her, like how beautiful she was, and stuff, flirting with her every chance I get.
Damn,
so all the dudes were all, in their mind, this lady was a straight up fox.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, dude, this guy showed me that just by speaking words in a certain way, these people were biting and
Yeah,
hook, line, and
it's
sinker.
called Theater of the Mind.
The theater of the mind.
And I would tell him, I have this woman in here, and she's, I used to interview strippers.
Yeah.
And I'd interview her, and then I'd describe her, and I'd be like, "God, you're so damn hot," and this and that, right? And every person watching or listening actually had a different perception of a woman that they like, the kind of woman that they like.
Yeah.
And then have you ever heard the voice of a guy on a radio, and then when you meet him, like, wow, it's you? And now it's with Facebook, because all of the filters.
Johnny
You
O.
see somebody,
Johnny O's a perfect example.
You see somebody on Facebook, al alba, and then you meet him in person. Eres tú, pinche flonque.
Dude, and this guy was doing hardcore interviews back in the day that were really controversial. Dude. This guy had this contest where he would, dude, tell him about how you would rig this contest with this transvestite.
Okay, well, there was this transvestite. It was a dude, right? And Bonnie Hernandez, who was our one of our partners there, that was it was her friend, right?
Oh,
and
wow.
this guy had gone into a motel, and he had pumped silicone into his breasts.
What?
So he didn't do it, by going to a doctor.
He didn't even go to Mexico.
No, he
dude,
did his own boob job.
Yeah, so he had boobs, right? He had boobs. So we had the millionaire game. So whenever we had an interview with a Tejano artist or anything, they had to play her the millionaire game. And if they could beat her, they would get away from getting a titty slap from him, But if they lost, they had to get a titty slap. So Jimmy Gonzalez was the first guy.
Oh, no, man.
Let me just tell you, she was undefeated. Because, it was rigged. It was rigged. We had a card, right? And it says A, B, C, or D. So I'd say, look, I'm going to give you the card and ask a question, and then I'll put the finger up here if it's C. I'll put the finger down here if I'll hold the card by the letter that was the answer.
Yeah. Oh, that works.
Yeah. She never lost, and everybody got a titty slap from the transvestite.
Oh my God! I wish we had Facebook back then.
And dude, the one time.
Here's the thing: you couldn't see it, but you could hear the things that were going on, and then you'd hear the people going up to Rock in the public and be like, "Oye, they hicieron titty slap al vato. ¿Qué onda con eso?" Like,
you should have seen Jimmy Gonzalez's face. Que paz descanse. He was sitting there, and when the tits came off, his face was like, "Oh." and you know what was? But one of the most craziest ones was we got some front row seats to Aerosmith to give away.
Wow.
Okay.
And we had a guy on the show named El Chief.
My
Juan Sanchez.
goodness.
And he was one of my street level friends from Mercedes. Still is, man.
Yeah.
And he had a toenail that was green and fungus, and it was the big toe, right?
Yeah.
So I said, how can we give away these tickets to the Aerosmith? So I said, you know what? The first person to come suck Chief's toe wins. So the Chief, he used to smoke a joint before the morning show. So he's all stoned with glasses like yours, right? Leaning against the wall, and we had a mic on him, and he had his foot up in the freaking on one of the chairs. And the guy from KVLY, what's his name? Mike Biescas. He comes over, hey, Rock, there's a guy outside. Really? Let him in. So he comes in and goes, what's up? Yeah, I'm here to suck the Chief's toe. Are you sure you want to suck that thing? He goes, yeah, man, for front row Aerosmith, hell yeah. So then he goes down and he puts the toe in his mouth, bro.
No, man.
And we all collectively go, oh, and then Chief's mic is like, So then I said, well, shit, dude, you win, right? And then Mike Biescas comes back in and he goes, hey, there's a lady. What? Bring her in. Yes, ma'am. Vengo a chuparle el dedo al Chief.
Oh, no.
Y le dije, pues ya ganó él, señora. I'm sorry. No. Déjame enseñarte cómo se chupa un dedo gordo del pie.
Dude, let me show you how to suck a toe.
Yeah, let me show you how a toe is sucked. So she went down on his toe and started sucking it like if it's a penis, dude. And she grabbed it with her finger, and she was going like this and fucking licking it and shit. And I'm like, oh, remember this?
Yeah, bro. And the calls, the calls, bro. The phone starts lighting up, bro. Get on the rock. Everywhere we would go, we would do public appearances, and they would ask, güey, ¿qué onda con la vieja que se chupó el chip, bro?
But it was true. It actually did happen. I mean, we weren't fucking making, because there's some shit that we'd make up on the air.
for sure.
That's why we're not easily manipulated by social media or by the mainstream media or none of that shit. Because I know
we were behind this, dude. Like, man, if I had not worked with Rock and Roll James, I would easily be fooled by what the media is pulling. easily. And I say that with like as a compliment because, man, I got a chance to be like, man, Rock and Roll James and I would do some prank calls, and since I have the ability to do voices, I could mimic any voice and be on the phone as a person that they have no idea who it is.
Oh yeah.
So we would have these prank calls, and they were outlandish, bro. Outlandish prank calls. And I would act it out like I was just genuinely falling for these things, hook, line, and sinker. And then people would come up to us, güey, se lo fregaron al vato con madre. And that for seeing that firsthand, just seeing how much we could manipulate with the media power was crazy. Then we did the April Fool's pranks.
Oh yeah,
dude.
Those were fucking genius.
This was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life.
The shit I'd come up with, right, dude? Fucking nuts.
April Fools. It's like let's do a prank. We got to do a badass prank. It's like, oh, okay, let's think of something. And he goes, let's give away $100,000. And I'm like, oh yeah, let's give away $100,000, real badass. We don't have that type of budget, Rock. And he pulls out, he's like, nah, way, un chocolate. $100,000.
And caller number 99.
Do it, bro.
Nice.
And we were the whole morning from 6 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock. We're milking and say, guys, you have to listen to the morning show because somewhere throughout the show, we're going to give away $100,000. We're gonna give away $100,000, and we're like, Rock would ask me like questions, and we're real ambiguous about the answers. He'd be like, "Hey, so if you won the $100,000, what would you do with $100,000?" And I'd be like, "Well, I wouldn't share it if that's what you're asking. The $100,000's for me. I'm keeping all of it." And then he'd be like, "Well, I'd probably give half to my mom." Yeah, you know? But we're talking about
the candy bar.
We're talking about the chocolate, right? Yeah. So everybody's thinking that we're talking about feria.
No, and
then everybody's under the impression that we're talking about we're giving away $100,000, and then we say, all right now, caller number 99 is gonna win the $100,000, bro. And we start going through it, and boom, 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 and as we're getting closer to 99. People's frustration levels, because you know how hard it is to win on the radio. Everything's always busy, right?
Yeah.
So finally, when they're getting through, we're like, caller number 90. Number. Caller number 91. Ching down.
Yeah.
Caller number 93. Chicks, viejas, everybody.
And we'd air those. We would air those before we get 99. Right?
That's awesome.
So keep calling, guys. The phones were ringing, bro, and we finally get to caller. ¿Qué pasó, Rock? What happened?
99. He goes, oh yeah. The whole family, you could hear him in the background. Yeah. Hey, bro, so what are we going to do with that chocolate bar? What?
No, what are you going to do with $100,000?
Yeah,
el vato dice, he goes off and starts saying, no, pues voy a pagar la troca y le voy a dar una feria a mi mamá. And I'm going to finish paying off the house. Y este pedo. Y luego Rock goes,
feria.
No, and how are you going to do that with a candy bar, though? Dude, and you see this guy's heart, like you hear it on the phone.
Yeah.
You hear it on the phone.
He wanted to cry, dude. I'm sorry.
This guy's heart just sinks to the bottom of his ass.
You know, one of my favorites was, and if you look at it, we were trolling people on the radio.
Before trolling was even a thing.
So one time, I set up this. It was like an April Fool's thing, and so when we get to work in the morning, I tell Raymond, I want you to go to that recording studio across the hall. And I'm going to call Jaime de Anda in San Antonio, and then I'm going to call Raulito Navaira, and then I'm going to call Carlos Guzman or somebody else, right? And we're going to put you in two-way, and we're going to pretend you're at this restaurant giving away free tacos and free barbacoa and free coffee.
And menudo.
And it's a new place called Lalo's Country Kitchen or something like that, yeah. And it's an abandoned building that used to be. Now it's the what's the name of that green? Now it's the Green Beret. Oh, they're on it's behind that freaking pawn shop on 10th and La Vista.
Before it was an abandoned building.
It was an abandoned building for the longest time. So he would say, no, aquí estamos en la esquina atrás del pawn shop en La Vista y 10th Street. Así estamos en Lalo's Country Kitchen y nombre está la barbacoa y los tacos. Mira quién está aquí, Jaime de Anda. And Jaime was in San Antonio on a two-way call. Oh, no, let me tell you, man, this place is top-notch. It's great. So we kept we did like 4 breaks, like call-ins.
Yeah.
And then after he comes back in, we get a call. Hey, Rock, ¿qué pasó? ¿Dónde está Raymond? ¿Por qué? Pues aquí estoy pasando por donde dicen y no hay nada, vato. ¿Estás en el pawn shop? Sí, ahora dale detrás del pawn shop. Aquí ya llegué, pero no hay nada, bro. Está abandoned el building. Órale, April Fools, carnal.
Got him, bro.
And then some guy calls, says, hey, aquí andaba Wally González buscando, this little guy that did this little pioneer of has a little van and would sell little accordions and shit at the flea market. He was like driving around trying to find a place to
trying to go jam with his buddies.
Man, but we had a good time on radio, man, and it's not the same anymore,
great, man.
Dude. And you know what's crazy is that the reason that I got into radio in the first place was because Rock at the time was going through some real hard times with drug addiction, and I was hoping to really get into that part of your story too, because how long have you now been sober from drugs, man?
So I've actually heard your story in the rooms.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
So you've been in the rooms too, huh?
Yes, sir.
Oh, well, ladies and gentlemen, rooms are the rooms where we go in to talk about our recovery and try to give faith, hope, and courage to other addicts that just walk in out of the disastrous life that they've led.
Amen.
But, I'm going on 15. Well, I went 15 years, June 12th.
15
There's
years.
Something about 12.
How about we drop a bunch of round of applause in the comments for Rock for celebrating 15 years of sobriety? Because, man, when I first came in contact with Rock and Roll James, I was probably 18, 19 years old, and they were bringing me into the radio station because he was being shipped off to rehab because he was in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. And the boss, Larry Saphir, actually, had so much faith in my talent that he wanted to help me. He saw that I was a good person inside, but I just had problems. So, but the moment that I decided, because he wanted to take, he didn't send me to rehab. I decided to go to rehab, because I had been up for a couple of days, been like 4 or 5 days, and I'll never forget. It was Monday morning, and I was out in an old dilapidated mobile home out in the country in Mercedes, and I start seeing school buses, and I'm like, I'm still fucking up, man.
That's crazy.
I'm still awake. What the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
My kids are going to school right now, and they haven't seen me, and they don't know where the fuck I am.
And you weren't even home?
No, dude, I hadn't gone home. It's just Thursday night. It was Monday morning.
Wow.
So what do? I gotta get the fuck out. I started getting like fucking paranoid with myself.
Yeah.
So I hauled ass. I remembered that Chief, our friend Chief, he had a little RV Winnebago parked in the back of the house. It got stuck and he just never moved it, and he'd stay in there and hang out and sleep. And I remember that I had left a little bottle of Everclear in there, and I needed something to like bring me down, dude, because I'd been smoking crack for like 4 or 5 days nonstop. Man. So I went and I knocked on him, and the sun was coming up already, and I didn't live far from him. The apartment where I was living with my kids and their mom was just like, I'd say half a block, not even away. And you could probably see it from Chief's house, backyard. So then he lets me in. ¿Qué pasó, Rock? Le digo, oye, a ver, ¿dónde está la botella de pinche Everclear, carnal? Necesito la pinche Everclear, carnal. And then I opened the Everclear and I fucking took a fucking swig.
Wow, dude.
And then all of a sudden, I went,
your whole esophagus is on fire. Man.
And then all of a sudden, I felt heat in my stomach.
Yeah.
And I told myself, ahí está, pendejo. Querías un pinche agujero en tu pinche estómago, culero, ahí lo tienes. And I said, that's it, I gotta stop.
Yeah.
And I went and I knocked on the door. I said, I gotta go face my kids, man.
Yeah.
I fucking really mean this shit. And I went.
What was that like? Like you were married at the time, or what was your situation?
I was with my kid's mom,
Uh-huh.
and then I went and I knocked on the door of the apartment, and she opens it and she sees me, and I said, "That's it, I'm done, it's over." And she just looks at me and says, fuck you, asshole.
You've been gone for 4 days.
Yeah, and this wasn't the first time, you know.
Yeah.
It was a habit of mine to be doing that, and so they took off to school and shit, and I called Larry, and he answered the phone. Well, the receptionist, and I said, "This is Rock. I need to talk to Larry Saphir, which is my boss, right?
Yeah.
President of the company." And he answered the phone, and I said, "Larry, what's up, kid? I ain't gonna go back to work till I come back from rehab." And he said, "Get your ass in here. Let's get you taken care of." You know?
Yeah. What was that moment like for you when you finally decided to give that up?
I don't know, man.
Had you hit that rock? Was that your rock bottom?
It's pretty much, yeah. It was pretty much my rock bottom. That was it, dude. I knew I was like, I had to stop.
Yeah.
And so I went to work the next day, and I looked into a rehab, and there was one that Larry recommended called Starlight in
Kerrville, Texas, baby.
It's a Center Point. It's by Kerrville. It's a Texas Hill Country. And so it was going to be like $15K, and I had to pay like $2,500 out of it with my insurance. And Larry made me a check, and I said, "Okay, this will be deducted from your work," you know. And so that's fine, you know. So I had the $2,500 to get in, and I took off, man. And
how long were you there?
30 days. 30 days. But
and then you go to sober living.
Yeah, I remember it was weird because my kids and their mom took me to rehab. They drove me over there, and we stopped at this restaurant in San Antonio, and we ran into Tim Duncan on the way up there. Yeah, and he didn't want to take a picture with my kid. You know, he just signed something real quick. But anyway, they were all cool about it and all that. But I learned later on after they dropped me off that my kids just lost it. You know, because I put them through a lot of shit.
What do you mean they lost it?
They just broke down, bro, because their dad's going into a fucking rehab, you know?
How old were they at the time?
Oh, my son must have been about 12. He's 35 now, 15 years.
Wow.
So he was about 14 maybe. Maybe, you know, it's been 15 years since I've cleaned up.
And what, you had your son and Ronnie and your daughter Felicia.
Yeah.
She's younger than Ronnie.
Yeah, Felicia was a lot younger. But I came back, and that's when, you know, Raymond.
Yeah.
You know, 30 days later, I come back, and I had to go to the rooms, dude. You know, I had to follow a fucking, you know.
Well, I'm glad you did, man, because I've been sober for 10 years. And the first story I heard was, when I was on the fence, was one of your stories in the room in McAllen. And you walked in with a bag of McDonald's, and you offered me a biscuit with some shit, and I was like, I don't want nothing. I was so fucking over life.
Yeah.
What?
And then you told your story about, you know,
you were at one of his meetings when he was going through sobriety. Wow, that's crazy, dude. So what was his story like when you were sitting there? And
it was everything that I had been through in my fucking life and was going through as a young man in my late 20s. You know, after the military just threw me out, and I was just drinking like a mad horse. I had 2 DWIs, and it was just insane for me. And then I heard his story, and he offered me some biscuits and stuff from McDonald's. I was like, I don't want your fucking biscuits right now.
Yeah.
And I just listened to what he had to say, and I was like, well, this guy can fucking do it, then I could do it. And
you know, it's weird because this was my first rodeo. I actually had to go to rehab twice.
Yeah.
Because I got out of rehab, and I started the morning show with Raymond and Chief, and we started like Lika. And then I started drinking and doing drugs again. I started drinking.
Yeah.
And they told me, you know, don't drink, you know, because that's just going to get you started again. So it was January, and I was going to be 2 years sober in April.
Yeah.
And I ran into this promoter of a boxing event, and there was various promoters, and he said, hey, I want you to be exclusive ring announcer for my promotion. I said, okay, well, we need to sign a little contract and maybe a little, you know, something to...
Una feria?
So for the money I'm going to lose from not working with those other people, you know what I mean? So we sat down, and he said, look, I'll give you $1,000 or a free trip to Vegas. And I said, well, fuck, give me the free trip to Vegas.
Ora.
And right there I thought, when I go to Vegas, I'll drink, and then I'll come back, And all like nothing ever happened.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
And right there and then, I didn't realize it, but I had already relapsed.
Yeah.
Because I made the plan to drink.
Wow.
A lot of people think that you relapse when you take that first drink or that first hit or whatever. No, it's when you make the plan to do it.
Yeah.
When you've already created the idea in your brain
that it's going to happen.
And I told myself, I'm just going to drink that day, and then the trip was going to be in July. So what happens? I started drinking in May.
Wow.
I didn't make
getting ready for it.
So then I was drinking over here, acá ladito, and I go to a bar, and I had already split up with my kid's mom, right? And my kids, which was a very painful thing for my kids as well.
Yep.
And then I started drinking again, and I would go into a bar, and I'd walk into the bathroom, and then somebody's in a stall going.
So you walked into a stall with some warthogs in it?
Yeah. and I'm like.
Picture Ron Hoover vacuum.
And I'm like, shit.
And this was in Vegas?
No, this was here.
Okay.
I hadn't even made it to Vegas.
Oh, you're down here in the valley.
Chingue su madre, Vegas. Yo voy a pistear ahorita.
And where was this at?
Pero ¿sabes qué? Voy a pistear, pero no le voy a hacer a la coca.
Okay.
Yeah.
So right there, I was totally lost, bro.
Yeah.
I was already fooling myself, telling myself, you know what? I'm going to drink, but I'm going to stay away from the coke.
Okay.
So then I walk out of that bathroom without going and knocking on that dude's stall and saying, hey, mochate, güey.
Yeah.
And I felt
you felt like you won.
I felt like it was a victory.
Yeah.
But little did I know that or realize that it was coming. Sooner or later, it was going to fucking come. Yeah. But I had to fucking hit myself on the head with that TV by pulling the goddamn cord.
And what happened? Like,
so I went to Vegas and I took my mom. And I was drinking in Vegas.
Did you take your mom as maybe she's going to keep you from getting into too much trouble?
Yeah, that was a kind of a reason, but not even. The reason I took my mom is because my mom, she'd never been to Vegas, bro, you know, and I didn't have anybody to take. I actually wanted to take my wife, was my current wife, but she couldn't go. And because she was getting her master's in her teaching degree and stuff. And so I said, I'll take my mom. You know, why am I going to take any other woman? I love my girlfriend. I love my wife, right? Mm-hmm. And so I took my mom, and besides, my mom had never been to Vegas, and I was still drinking under my mom's guidance, and I'd kind of leave her alone in the casino, and you know what I mean? So
go sneak off.
Yeah, dude, like not even taking care of my mom, bro. I was already lost, dude. I was already going down the wrong path again, man. This was 2 years after. As soon as I went and I got my 2-year chip in that room, I freaking started drinking, you know, and so then that you know, I went from May to August without doing cocaine, right? I was like, hey man, I can drink.
Yeah.
I can drink, dude. I don't have to do fucking drugs. I can. Yeah. I'm kicking ass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm the man.
Los hacemos pendejos, bro.
Edging God out, baby. Your ego.
So then one night we're at this club, and me and my wife, she was my girlfriend, we're dating. And then we go to this place called Mint on Nolana.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
I remember that place. And that place was open till 4. So I walk into the bathroom, and there's dudes there en línea con bolsas de pase. And then I stand right there because I need to take a piss, and the guy just goes like this, and I grab it. That was great.
Wow.
It was awesome. And I was back.
You were right back.
I was right back.
And what happened right there at that night when you did that?
Well, I was able to just do that, and that's it.
Okay.
But it's a gradual thing. Mm-hmm.
So it didn't be like one pase and you're like, next thing you know, you're Hunter Bidening it.
No,
like
no. You're still trying to say, I can control this now.
Okay.
All right, I can control this.
Justification.
So then coming around December, I met these dudes from fucking Chicago or something. We're in an apartment, and it was at Puro Pore's place in his apartment complex. I'd go to Puro Pore's apartment complex, and upstairs they were partying.
This guy, Puro Pore, didn't get his nickname by hosting Bible studies.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
But let me tell you, he had nothing to do with it. You know, I left him in his room. He didn't want to go upstairs and party with these guys. I did. So I went up there.
Why didn't he want to go up there?
Because he wasn't into it right at that night or whatever.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So he wasn't as crazy as I was, bro. I mean, even though he is crazy too. You know,
Está bien loco, pero he was almost the dude that was in charge of rock.
Yeah.
Like as crazy as that guy was, he was like kind of like rock's
handler.
Hey, I'll get him there. and Rock was partying up a storm.
Yeah, these guys would be like my pistoleros, bro. You know what I mean? They take care of me. So I went upstairs and I was hanging out with the guys, and they had some cocaine, dude, that just fucking fucked me up. So it was like 7 a.m. I didn't go to work. I went downstairs and knocked on Pore's apartment. I said, Pore, I need a ride to my apartment, bro. And I was like this. I need a ride to my apartment, bro. You need a way? What's wrong with you, bro? I need a ride to my apartment, bro. Okay, man, get in the truck. So on the while he was driving me to the house, to the apartment, I was like this in his passengers.
Dang.
I was like, hey, man,
straight up tweaking
just take me to my house. Take me to my house, bro. Take me to my apartment. I was like, I couldn't stop. I couldn't control myself.
Wow.
And so he drops me off at the apartment. I get in the apartment. I take down some freaking Tylenol PM, some freaking NyQuil. Man. And I'm looking at myself in the mirror in the bathroom, and I'm fucking faded, white, dude, you know? And I'm like, that's it. I'm going to fucking die here today. Man. I'm going to lock that door, and I'm going to turn off the cell, and I'm going to fucking die.
You felt it coming.
I felt it coming. So I went and I knelt in front of my couch and put my face in the couch. And I was like, if this is it, this is it. I'm fucking gone. Let's go. And
what are you feeling right now at this moment when you're hitting your knees on the couch? Like you're hitting the knees, you're on the couch, you're praying. Is your heart just beating 1,000 miles an hour right now?
Yeah, dude. It was like I couldn't. I thought I was gonna fucking die. OD, you know, it's an OD. And I locked the doors so nobody could save me. You know, that's it. I'm done. I didn't go. It wasn't my time. So the next day, I go to work and I tell Mr. S, I'm never gonna do that shit again. I almost died last night. He goes, God damn it, Rock. You need to stop that shit, bro. Go to a fucking meeting. I said, okay, man. So I went on a meeting. A week and a half later, I started smoking cocaine.
Wow, man.
You would think that me on my freaking deathbed almost
on your knees
would have said, it's done. I'm done with it. No, I ended up smoking it because snorting it was what got me like that. I need to smoke it. So I started smoking cocaine again.
And you went hard.
Now, how psychotic is that, bro?
Yeah, and I remember this part of your life that you went.
I know you were there.
I was there, and I saw, man. I was a young kid, dude, and I'm seeing this guy. I think I was like 19, 20 years old, and Rock, in my eyes at that time, was like a rock star. You know, like he was one of the dudes that's like the king of radio type thing.
Yeah.
And he was hosting events. And when I met Rock for the first time, when he saw me, I was actually doing a show opening up for Juan Villarreal at the old Villarreal Center. And I was like 17 years old. And that's how, when I first saw Rock on stage, and dude, you went up there to host and introduce, and this dude had people laughing, bro, rolling. And then he introduced me, and I'm just going at it. I did like 30 minutes, and I was only supposed to do 5. I ran the light hardcore, but because of that performance, they said, hey, there's this funny guy that we could bring on the radio, and Rock was one of the dudes that kind of like, yeah, while I'm gone, like have him come in and try out and see how he does, and he was kind of like an advocate for me at the time. Yeah. But what's crazy is that seeing him, like, man, I'm thinking this dude's up here, like. But then I'm seeing the drugs completely control him. Yeah. And it was tragic because, man, he had one of the best, to this day, I think is the best afternoon show that anyone's ever had, where people were calling in and it was a genuine party. Slogans, man. I mean, the audience would become my show. It was their show. It wasn't my show, you know. Yeah. And he's just playing awesome music. That's just drinking music and barbecuing music.
And then we started this. I started this clica phenomenon where it is clica. And it's like you're a redneck if see and then we started doing some redneck barraza stuff and it is clica and it became so popular. We started selling T-shirts. We started doing comedy tours. I just found a ticket that said Clica Comedy Tour presents Paul Rodriguez.
Oh yeah,
at the house.
I remember that.
And so I created this idea of going on. I said we've got Raymond. I've got I do it. Yeah. And we've got Chief who fucking just needs to stand up there and laugh to make people laugh. let's do little salones, and they can only get the ticket through the station. Man, we'd have 1,000 people in there, bro.
They would
Nice.
they would want to go
crazy.
to those comedy events more than the actual events that we had tickets for, like the big events. Like, oh, we have Shakira tickets and we have WWE. No. I want the Clica comedy show tickets.
Yeah, dude.
Nice.
That's fucking crazy.
That's
it was
crazy.
It was crazy, bro. But you know what's crazy is that I owe Rock a big chunk of who I am, because he was like a second father figure to me when I was in radio. I was a young kid, and I remembered this is I wrote about this in my book. And Rock, there was this one time, dude. Rock was just killing it, bro. He had already gotten off of rehab the second time, and he's working out. He's getting all these sponsors. He's just, man, people are coming into the booth and they're like, "Hey, Rock, I got you another commercial here." And Rock's like, "Okay, that's gonna be $500. Okay, está bueno, here." They sign it, and he would go into the studio, voice a commercial. Hey, tal y tal, Gonzalez Furniture y tal. And he would come back like 30 seconds to a minute later.
One
and he's just
take.
like, $500, baby. And I was like, wow, dude. To me, that I was blown away by that. And I remember asking him, I remember telling him, like, man, bro, like, you get all the endorsements, man. I would love to get a commercial one day. Like that I hope I get a commercial one day. And at the time, dude, like, he called me out con madre.
Yeah.
Because at the time I was showing up to work in warm-ups,
And boxer shorts.
in shorts,
No
way,
mames,
like straight up boxer shorts, like basketball shorts. Like, I just got out of bed and went over there and just did the show because I knew I
Con
was
la almohada pegada y la chingada.
yeah, hair all uncombed and everything like that.
And I'm not the type to reprimand people, you know.
No, and it was something that I needed to hear because it was very important, because I didn't get how these people operated. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't get how the business people were thinking about how the commercials. All I'm thinking is I can do voices. I can do all the sorts of voices. But these guys were investing money so that they could have Rock represent them as a company. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Totally different. And then Rock tells me, he's like, Ira, look at these guys walking by. Look at these business owners. They're making millions of dollars. They're making tons of money a day. And then you see them walking by, and they look into the studio, and they see me on this side doing all the work over here, dressed, sharp, shaved, nice hair combed and everything like that, nice and trimmed beard and everything. Like, and then you see you on the other side, and you're in your
Todo
boxer
tirado y la
shorts.
chingada, yeah.
Your hair's all over the place. You probably didn't even wash your teeth or nothing, and you're over here like and you think the business owner is gonna stop and say, "Oh, Who's the guy in the boxer shorts? I want him to represent my company."
Yeah.
That's the one. Man, I remember that moment to me meant so much to me, and I thank you, Rock, for.
I just
for
straight
telling
up
me
told him, dude, you got to have fucking pride in yourself.
Oh, yeah, bro.
You got to
Yeah.
fucking be ready to fucking play. You know,
Yeah.
you got to come in the morning ready to fucking play, because not only are you representing yourself, you're representing us. And we all have to be top of the fucking hill, man. You know
real.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And it upped our value massively.
Yeah.
And I remember this one time, another time that Rock stepped up for me and showed me the game,
Yeah.
because they were bringing down Cheech and Chong to
Yeah.
the McAllen Convention Center, and they wanted us to open for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, dude, this is gonna be like a huge sting for my resume. And the promoter was like, okay, you guys are on. And Rock's like, no. Hey, it's gonna be $500 for me, $500 for him. And I'm over here like, hey, Rock, what are you doing, bro? Like,
I'll do it for free.
I'll do it for free, dude.
No,
Like, what are you doing, bro?
For
Like,
exposure.
I'll do it for
Yeah.
exposure. And he's like, nah, dude, like, nah, you're gonna get paid for this. And
He
I
was good, bro. This motherfucker was good.
And I was like, and I'm thinking, dude, this guy's about to cost me a gig, you know, and it's opening for Cheech and Chong, bro. This could be huge for me, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm over here telling Rock, bro, I'll do it for free, bro. I don't care. Like, you don't have to pay me. I like, get me on the show. He's like, no. We're gonna get paid, and we're gonna open up for these guys, and we're gonna do it, but you're gonna get paid for it. That's the difference. And I was like, dude, I don't know, man. And I was real cagao. And the promoter's like, okay, está bueno, $500. And I was like, whoa, I just got paid for this. Like, dude, this is nuts. Because this, for me, the promoters were real quick. It's like, hey, it'll be a great exposure for you. Think about what it could do for your career if you just do this gig for us for free.
Yeah,
bro.
no.
And I never, ever since that day, I've never done another exposure gig unless I wanted to do it.
Something else that I taught this guy was we had Paul Rodriguez, a ticket I was just telling you.
Yeah.
It was the Clica Comedy Tour presents Paul Rodriguez. They actually put R on the ticket as being the lead.
Presenters.
Yeah. And so it fucking, the McAllen Convention Center was fucking packed.
Packed.
I show up with fucking T-shirts, right, that say "Eres Clica" with a question mark, like "Got milk?"
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
Just like simple.
Super simple.
Fucking sold out, bro.
How much money did you make that night?
I don't know, but man, I sold all the fucking shirts. And this guy was like, "That's merchandising." Yeah.
Speaking of merchandising, you can pick up your Prende la Vela candle. This is the man that taught me about it, bro. And I remember, like, dude, this guy taught me so much about show business. And that's why I wanted to bring him on here. Not only because he taught me so much, but his story is so intense. It is one of the, like, deepest stories of redemption.
Yeah.
Because I saw this man, he almost died, bro. Like, I saw this dude on the brink of death where he was so into the smoking the drugs that it was driving him to his health way to where it was going to be death.
Yeah.
And then to see him now, you're working out, bro. You got sponsors, you got Dr. T sponsoring, you got lawyers, you got your own
YouTube
podcast,
show.
You got your own YouTube show. But very
and
successful
you know what?
YouTube
Let me
show.
tell you something that happened with Q94.5.
Yeah.
For the very first time ever in history, we came in second place in people 18 to 34.
Wow, dude.
18 to 34. We came in for the very first time.
For the
and I'm the
people-
only guy there now.
Yeah, for the people that don't know, 18 to 34 and 18 to 49 are like the money
Yeah.
sponsor. That's what sponsors look for.
But 18 to 34 is the most coveted.
Yeah.
And we knocked K-Tex out of the way. We're in second place now. B104 beat us, but man, I mean, it's like, it's making
No twerking required.
It's coming around the music, the classic rock.
And what's crazy is that you have such a mastery of radio that you were doing Spanish radio when we were together. We were doing like a Tejano station where it was like Spanglish and Spanish, and all of a sudden you jump over to rock, and it's like, this guy can do it in Spanish, this guy can do it in English, this guy is so talented. Now, aside from that, rock, what is the most like pivotal moment in your career now after you got over, like when you faced your addiction? What was the moment that really catapulted you to where you're at right now in your success?
Well, before that, I wanted to mention that, you know, when I started smoking rock again, this was like in January, right? And I had started in May, right? When I relapsed. I relapsed in January. I took my first drink in May. I did my first shot of cocaine in August. Then in December, I was dying from an OD. And then 2 weeks later, I started smoking crack, which was in January. And then by around, May, a year later, I went 10 days without sleeping. You know, I was in my garage smoking. I'd lift the garage, and Puro Pore and Chief would pull me and take me on the air in the afternoon, and I'd fucking go do my shift, come right back to the garage and start smoking again, and that was my life.
Dude, I remember that part, and when you were several days into that binge.
Yeah.
Towards the end of it, you could hear it on the radio.
Yeah, and one time I remember Mano San Roman called me on the hotline and says, "What did you just say on the radio?" I go, "Well, then what?" It was totally incoherent. I'm like, "What?" I was just saying, I didn't even know what was going on. I mean, I was scrambled, man.
Yeah.
So then
like, you would hear him trying to speak,
and then I was in my house by myself, and I'd see shadows in my kitchen. You know, I started seeing the shadow people shit.
Yeah, drug-induced psychosis,
I was freaking
baby.
out, dude.
Yeah.
And then I remember I was like, it'd be 3 a.m. I'd be in my house by myself, hoping somebody would show up to bullshit with me.
Yeah.
And I looked out the door window, and I see like two gremlins fighting.
Yeah.
In the driveway, and I'm like, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden it turns into the rim of my truck.
Yeah.
wow.
And instead of me saying, "A la madre," I'm like, wow, fuck, you know? And so I was dating my wife, and she loves me, man. You know what I mean? And and I really loved her as well. But I started doing drugs again, dude.
And she's the type of person that she loves you so much, bro.
Yeah,
and you hurt her.
Yeah, that's one of the moments of clarity that I got.
Yeah,
I was lost and missing for I don't know, like 4 or 5 days, and then I end up on the radio, and my wife, she was my girlfriend. She's just calling and calling and calling, and I'm just like ignore. I don't want to talk to her. I'm barely getting my out of this bullshit. And then I get a text from her sister, and she says, "Is that why you wanted to date my sister, so you could hurt her?"
Man, bro.
And I thought to myself, here I am again, hurting the people that love me. What the fuck is wrong with me, man?
Man, dude.
And so I went home, man, and I just I had to leave the station because I started breaking down like, man, I'm fucked up. I went home and I laid on the couch and I heard kids in the distance, and every time I was getting high, I would tell myself, I've fucked up with my kids. They don't love me anymore, and it's never going to be better. And, and so and then I'm laying there and I'm hearing these kids in the distance playing, and on the street. And I think about my kid and I'm like, man, that's it. I'm done. I got to stop again. I'm back to where I was already.
Back to square one.
Yeah, dude. So I texted my kids. I texted my mom, my brothers, and I just put, I'm going to go back to rehab. Who do you think were the first people to fucking respond, dude? My kids, dude. They responded, Dad, thank God we love you.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And I'm all here fucking thinking, I thought to myself, I'm using them as a fucking excuse to fuck myself up, to do my drugs.
Wow.
And I said, I'm never going to use my kids as an excuse to get fucking high. That's stupid, man. And that's what I want to tell everybody out there that's a parent that's fucked up and you think that it can never get better with your kids. Let me tell you, my daughter's working with me right now, bro. She's
amazed.
She's kicking ass.
She's at the radio station
in the corporate level right now.
Where you're at.
Yeah, we're co-workers, dude.
How proud does that make you?
She's excelling, dude.
And she's even doing her own shifts on the radio too.
Yeah.
How proud does that? How do you feel about that?
It's amazing, and she's creating contact. She's a content engagement specialist, and she just fucking placed a price on a house that she's buying. My son, he's in a postal service. And let me just tell you guys, and women too, when I got back from rehab and when I, had left my kids and their mom, I texted my kids and I kept texting them and texting. I never gave up on them, bro. I needed to make it up to them, bro.
And now you have such a strong relationship with your daughter. And what about your son?
My son también, bro. I mean, when we started doing the YouTube channel together, my daughter and my son would come and we'd do the YouTube show, PVT. And it was like, look at what sobriety has done for me, man. My wife was my girlfriend back then. When I decided I needed to go back to rehab, I asked her to stay at my house and take care of it with her sister. And I told her never to leave again. She went and visited me every weekend in my vehicle, man, to go see me. And she drove by herself just to go see me and take care of, and be with me at rehab. And we've never been apart since, man. I mean, we've been together ever since, and we have an amazing relationship. She loves me, I love her, and we support each other. And now we're doing the show together, and she loves doing it. I love doing it. She's feeling the magic that you felt when we were doing the show in the morning.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Wow, this is really awesome."
And it's fun, and it's crazy how much when you put your passion into it, how you draw people in with your own passion behind it. And that's what you've done with PBT, and not even barely touching the surface, man. I know we're probably gonna end up having to bring Rock and Roll James back for another interview because you not only did the talk show, but you also have your own band, Whiskey D, going out, and you have your own
Y'all
Man.
did Arlington Stadium, didn't you?
Yeah, we did Arlington. We played from San Elizario. You know the people from the Writing for Boobs.
Dude, I love those people. There's some wonderful people out there.
Yeah. So we've played all over the place, and
That's awesome.
But you're having to be the lead man of a rock band, doing it sober. What's that like?
it's great. I mean, I didn't start the band till about 6 years sober, 4 years, 4, 5, 6 years. And I said, you know what, maybe I can do what I always wanted to do, but, you know, was all fucked up to be able to do it. And so I started the band, and boy, man, 11 years later, we're still here. We're playing all over the place, and people ask us to play, and we play festivals. We do good shows, and we go, and we're not a drinking band, you know. We give them a rider, and it's like waters, sugar-free Red Bulls, Gatorades, and sodas, and some Subway. And they're like, wow, there's no liquor here? And I go, no, man, we don't drink. If the guys want to have a beer, they can have a beer, but they know we don't drink to get drunk.
Yeah.
You know?
What would you tell people that are watching right now, man, that are maybe suffering from drug addiction? And
well, you gotta want it. You gotta want it.
Yeah.
And let me tell you one thing, bro. We all have a purpose, and when I went back to rehab, I was there, and I still had the idea that I could drink. I just fucked up with the cocaine, so I went into rehab, and it was the first day, and I went in there, and the second day I'm there, and I was in rehab 3 years to the day from the first time that I was there. It was like the same damn week,
Wow.
you know, 3 years later. So a guy walks in to rehab that was with me 3 years ago.
Wow.
Sober.
So it must have been like deja vu for
And
you.
I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here, man? I fucked up, bro, and this and that. And I was like, well, fuck, come on in, man. And I still thought to myself, man, well, I was drinking and I did cocaine, but if I would have not done cocaine, I wouldn't be here. Stupid like that, still in a fog. And then the next day, another guy walks in that was with me 3 years to the fucking day, dude.
Wow, dude.
And I was
It's like a
like-
class reunion.
I was like, what is this, a reunion or what the fuck? What? That's me. That's me walking right back into this place. That's it. I can't drink anymore. I'm never coming back here again. That was the epiphany moment right there, bro. And to this day, I think, who sent those two fuckers in there to straighten my ass out?
Because if they hadn't shown up to have you see those guys again, do you think that you would have gotten back into your cycle?
I don't think so. I mean, the first guy that walks in didn't fucking faze me. Oh, sí, cabrón, déjame mandarte otro pa' que sepas. And the second guy, what are the chances of two guys a day apart going in that were with me there 3 years to the fucking day?
It's fucking 15K each time you go in there.
Wow, dude.
And then I said, that's it. I got to participate in the classes. I got to talk. I got to share. I started doing that, and I noticed when I was sharing my stories, it would affect people like in a way that they would cry, dude. They felt what I was saying. So when I came back out, I went full force into the meetings, and my goal was to become a chair, you know, and chair a meeting. And I did that. And then my other goal was to be a speaker at a cocaine convention, and I did that.
Wow.
And then I started going to schools, and I started talking to kids, you know, middle schoolers. And I went to a boys' convention in Alton, and I went, and I had a half a gym full of middle school kids, man, and their teacher standing in between the rows. And I gave them a 45-minute, and since I have a comedy thing, you know, I put a little comedy, you know, my story. I give them a little story, and then I made them laugh. I made them cry, you know. And after that, they came down, and they were hugging me, and they freaking loved my performance. And then I went outside, and I walked. As soon as I walked out, I fucking broke down, bro. I started crying my ass off.
Why?
And I looked up, and I said, that's why you put me through the bullshit you put me through, right? For that, if that's why you did it, I accept it.
Wow.
I accept what you did to me to help those kids,
Wow.
to spread a message.
Wow. That's amazing, man.
And at that
You
moment,
found your true purpose right there.
yeah, dude. And then 2 weeks later, I'm at Charlie Clark Nissan in Harlingen, and I'm doing a remote. And a man walks in with a girl, with a lady, and he says, Rock, ¿qué pasó? Vengo desde Mission, carnal. He said, well, what's up, man? I go, I just came to tell you, man, that you had an amazing impact on my son.
Wow, but
And I said, what are you talking about? You were talking over there in Alton at a middle school, and my son's been emulating what you did to this day. And I told myself, now I understand when they say, when you affect one kid, you can affect a whole bunch of others because they go and they emulate what you did and what they learn from you. And that's why it's very important when you talk to kids, try to give them positive messages and try to give them ideas that are positive that they can spread to their friends.
Man, that's amazing, Rock, and I appreciate you so much. If there's a way that you want to get in touch with Rock and Roll James, maybe to do some motivational speaking to your middle school, is there any way that they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, the problem right now with me is that I do morning radio, so I used to always do those at 10 a.m. because I worked at 3 in the afternoon, 3 to 7. So the scheduling is kind of tough. I can do the afternoons. But I haven't done one in a while. I started going to, I would come to Brownsville to the restitution center. And boy, man, I have a bunch of prisoners there. Pues son raza, bro. ¿Entiendes? They don't understand. Because what happens a lot, street level dudes go to a meeting and you're reading the blue book and then you read something out of there and they don't understand it, bro.
You put it into terms that they could understand.
For example, it says, Bill said that selfishness and self-centeredness was the root of my problem. So you think those vatos that are in there locos are going to know what that fucking means?
Yeah.
You know what I tell them? Mira, ¿sabes qué? Guacha, esto es lo que es jale, carnal. Guacha. El miércoles, Wednesday, me habla un camarada. Rock, voy a tener la pelea el sábado con pisto y virongas y vamos a tener pase y la chingada. Vente a echar la pelea, va a pelear el pinche, el vato de allá de México, ¿cómo se llama? Canelo y la chingada. Órale, carnal, ¿cuándo? El sábado sí, ¿a qué horas? A las 7, te digo a las 6. Wednesday, ya tengo mis planes. El Thursday, mi chavalita viene y me dice, Dad, can you take us to the zoo on Saturday? Chinga, amita, no puedo, mama. Dad's gonna be busy. I can't take you, mama. And when I say that, all those dudes in the chairs, they just start going like this, bro.
Sí, le estás pegando el clavo.
Clavo, carnal. And then I said, pero ¿sabes qué, mita? El domingo te llevo a ti, tu hermanito. We'll go see the giraffe. Está bien bonito el domingo. El domingo está mejor que Saturday, mama. Pero Dad no puede ir Saturday. Okay, Dad. So then Saturday llega, güey, ay, estoy poreando, ni miro la pelea, vato, estoy afuera friajeando, entro al baño, ¿qué va ganando? Órale, chinga, no, se acaba la pelea, 1 de la mañana, I'm there outside with those guys poreando, y la chinga, son la 1, si me voy a las 2, llego a la casa a las 2:30, me roleo, me levanto, llevo los chavalos para el sur, órale, Simón, canal, ya, Simón, 3 de la mañana, chinga, si me voy a las 4, llego a la casa a las 4:30, de ahí me roleo 1:30, ya me levanto, llevo los chavalos para el sur, esto, Simón, carnal, Simón, 5 de la mañana, chinga, si me voy a las 6, llego a la casa a las 6:30, me viento una pinche playa, me baño, llevo los chavalos para el sur, órale, 8 o'clock, ya la cagué, no valgo madre, mis chavalos se quedaron esperándome para llevarlos para el zoo. ¿Qué me hubiera costado a mí a decirle a los vatos que me hablaron? ¿Sabes qué? O decirle a mi chavala, ¿sabes qué, mijita? Que chinguen a su madre esos cabrones, vamos para el zoo.
No.
¿Por qué es tan duro ese jale, vato? ¿Sabes por qué? Because we're selfish and self-centered.
And then you just showed them what the lesson was about.
And then I get up after we did it, and they get in line, y viene un vato más mafioso, vato más tattoos y la chingada gangster.
Macizo el güey.
Y me abraza y me dice, soy bien selfish, carnal.
Chivos.
Soy bien selfish, carnal. Ese jale me pegaste en el mero corazón, porque esa es la chingadera que yo hago.
Wow.
Y le dije, ¿sabes qué, carnal? Al otra piensa diferente.
And you just changed that man's life. That's amazing, man.
That's what it's all about, bro. It's knowing how to fucking connect with people and trying to give them a good message. Because I don't wish my life under the drugs and alcohol on anybody, dude, or anybody's family. That shit's fucked up, bro. It is. It's killed a lot of people. And right now there's fentanyl and shit.
Yeah.
You know, people are fucking just falling over, dying. There's my cousin lost a granddaughter, dude, you know?
No, hombre.
I mean, chavala, bro. I mean, that shit, it's got to go. And right now the fucking border is like wide open. There's so much fucking drugs coming in here. The administration we got here ain't worth a fuck. You know?
And that has happened, like the fentanyl overdose. There's a guy in McAllen también que dio el cuartazo también.
Y
Like,
pues también ahí los mariachis o el grupo que
Yeah.
estaban en la cantina ahí en downtown McAllen también. Los
Yeah.
tres vatos que se, you know, I mean, there's no control of the border right now, man. I mean, everybody's bringing in drugs and human smuggling. This is. I don't know what's going on with this administration. They don't want to address it. They don't want to take care of it. We're being overwhelmed, and not only, I mean, the humans. I mean, that's bad enough, but the drugs.
yeah.
I mean, that's the shit that I've lived through. I have seen it firsthand how it destroyed people that I know.
Do you think if you were in the way that you are, like the way that you were back then, right now, you'd think you'd be alive?
No.
Wow.
Nah, dude, I wouldn't be alive.
Wow.
I wouldn't be alive, and I have
Jails, institutions, and death.
yeah, dude. And death was definitely in my, and right now I'm in the best health. I work out. I do positive things, and everything that we do, we're consistent. If I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to fucking do it.
Man,
If I don't do it, if I tell you I'm going to do something and I don't do it, that's my old addict behavior.
There's
Wow.
every dude that I know that's got 5 years or more is fucking winning. They're winning, bro.
Yeah.
What would you tell somebody before we wrap up here? What would you tell somebody that is maybe watching this episode of The Rabbit Hole, maybe facing their own addictions to substances, and they're looking for a way out?
Okay. Well, all I can say is we like to blame things. You know, we're living in a culture where we blame everybody for what we do. What you do is what you do. You know, one time I had a little meeting at Amistad. It's like a little place where you can go. It's a council center. And they asked me to speak in a little round meeting, and there was people, and there was a vato there. No, sir, yo fui para la casa de un camarada y pues estaban fumando marihuana y pues, casa de Dios, me metí otra vez. Le dije, sí. Digo, no, causa tuya. Tú fuiste para allá porque sabías que había marihuana. Tu obsesión para fumar te llevó para allá porque sabías que ibas a fumar un toque, iba a haber marihuana, iba a haber drogas. Porque si no hubieras ido, nunca lo hubieras hecho. ¿Y para qué fuiste? No, más para ver qué están haciendo y que le chingamos ahí, all right? And he followed me all the way out, trying to explain to me, telling me, no, it wasn't my fault. It was their fault. It was their... Look, mira, bro, ellos agarraron el toque y te lo ponieron en la boca, o tú lo agarraste y te lo poniste en la boca. Pues yo, sir. Bueno, okay. Tú lo agarraste y lo poniste en tu boca. Tú lo hiciste.
You're responsible.
Once you face the fact that you're the one fucking doing it, and there ain't no reason that you should be, because there's people that have had worse problems than anybody else in this world, and they don't go there. All right? They just face them. They handle them. They take care of them. You know? Then once you realize that, then you might be able to start taking care of what you need to take care of, which is your addiction, man. But you have to decide for yourself that, you know what? It's time for me to stop, period.
Man, dude. Well, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining me on the rabbit hole, bro. And your story is so intense. And I know we could talk for hours. And I do definitely want to bring you back for some more, because you have so many real good stories that we've had together. For real, dude. So
yeah, man. I mean, I tell you what, it's like, and we have stories that are funny. We have stories that are, man, hardcore sad.
Yeah.
We have stories that are just, just pretty miraculous. And
dude,
Bro, it's the reason why I'm a captain, bro.
Dude, you know what's funny?
That's crazy, because I heard his story and I stayed sober, bro.
Really, dude.
Dude,
That's amazing,
I have a 5-bedroom
bro.
house on the beach now. I have a big ass boat. I have a successful business. I'm with Raymond, working so many sponsors, bro. And it's because I heard his story was with his mom. The one that I heard was about your mom and how she would stay up waiting for you and stuff.
Yeah, I wrote a song called Mama's Prayers. You can find it on Whiskey D YouTube channel. But
how do they find that song?
Just search hashtag Whiskey D and then hashtag Mama's Prayers, and you'll probably find it.
And
on YouTube.
What was that like when you wrote that song, bro?
It was interesting because it was just an epiphany that came to me while I was on the elliptical machine listening to old school country, and I heard the song. I was hearing the songs, and I started thinking of a story when I went and knocked on my mom's door at about 8 a.m. on a Tuesday. I think I'd been lost since Thursday. And I didn't want to go face my kids, so I went and I knocked on my mom's door, and she opened the door, and she saw her oldest son dying in front of her eyes without being and helpless. So I mean, what could she do?
Yeah.
You know? So then she let me in, and I sat in the couch trying to wind down from all the cocaine I had been doing. And she sat on a table behind me with a Bible, and she starts praying. And I'm thinking to myself, this shit's never going to help me. You know, I'm going to die a fucking addict. I'm done. That's what's going to, you know, I was in a guilt trip, you know, when you start coming down from the drugs, you start feeling guilty, dude. And so, you know, I thought about that, and then I finally realized, you know, that I've been sober so long, and that moment that my mom was praying for me, Mama's prayers, there's a song, there's a part in the song that goes, just one more shot of whiskey and one more line of coke. So seeing my life going up in smoke, the devil's sweet temptation, holding tight, I feel no pain, as Mama got down on her knees and freed me from these chains, you know. Man. And so the song's a very powerful,
extremely powerful
song about me, my life, and you can find it. And a lot of people like it. When I perform it with my band, I say a little story to kind of let people know, and I talk about our moms, dude. You look at your mom, bro.
Oh, I mean, dude, my mom prays for me all the time, bro. Every time I leave the house, she's always giving me that la bendición and making sure that I'm going on the road safe.
Yeah, and so when I talk about that, and I talk about moms, and it affects many people, adults, bikers. I remember we did a bike rally, and the biker goes, "Man, it's hard to make me cry, but that song made me cry." You know,
yeah.
And but it's the story behind it as well. Before I present the song, you know, but yeah, man, it's been a great trip, and we could, like I said, like you said, we could do this every day and have something new for the people to find out and hear. But I appreciate you coming. I appreciate you letting me come to your podcast, dude.
And I appreciate you being so transparent with your story, man, because I know that a lot of people are going to be affected in a positive way from this episode, for sure.
Well, you know, the first big step of sobriety is being honest, brutally honest.
Yeah.
That's what they tell you. They tell you, in order for me to stop, I need to be brutally honest. And when you're brutally honest and you tell it like it is, then you realize there ain't no candy coating this bullshit.
Yeah.
There ain't no excuse. There ain't no justifying my actions for doing what the fuck I'm doing that's destroying not only myself, but destroying people around me that genuinely give a fuck about me. You know what I mean?
I think that's the hardest part.
Some people can't afford rehab either, man. They should just go to a room, to a meeting.
There's a way. I mean? There's a way. Yeah, you can go to a meeting.
There's a way.
There's a will. There's a way. But you know,
you gotta want it. No?
Yeah,
I went to all the
programs
ones in Hill Country. Yeah. In the Hill Country, Laha, Starlight, all those programs.
Yeah,
and none of that shit worked except for going to a meeting.
Yeah. Well, you know, to me, going to a meeting wasn't enough. I needed to go and get locked up.
Yeah.
I needed to get away from, you know, because it's just walking out of a meeting and going to the convenience store and beer. You know what I mean? I had to really get a train of thought where when I get out of this rehab, I'm going to follow the instructions I've been told. And I remember I had a sponsor, black sponsor. His name was Hal. He's the one that brought.
Oh, I remember Hal.
Yeah, he brought down Cocaine Anonymous to the Rio Grande Valley from Houston. So right away he said, "I'm going to be your sponsor. I don't sponsor anybody, Rock, but you're going to help a lot of people. So I'm going to be your sponsor, and you're going to be my only sponsee. And the first thing that you got to do is you're going to have to go to a convention with me in Houston in 2 weeks." So I went to the convention in Houston, man. 2 weeks, man. And it was at this big hotel. We went up to this big banquet hall. When he walked in, bro, the people, women and men, how all the people he had fucking saved, dude.
Wow.
And inspired.
Awesome. How many people were there?
It was packed, and then they had a countdown like 10 years, 9 years, and there was people there that were 2 days. You know, it went all the way down to 2 days sober, and that's it. You know.
Wow.
But to see him walk in there and just, you know, just
be loved,
command all the love and the, you know, I mean, from the people that he helped get out of that grips of cocaine, dude. that's when I said, man, that's what it is all about. That's how you leave your legacy, dude. That's how you leave your legacy.
That's
you leave it
awesome.
in other people, you know?
Oh, that's awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Rock. And if you guys want to get in touch with him, you can find him on #PVT on YouTube. He's got his own amazing talk show. I've been a guest several times.
Yeah.
I love it, man. It's
That's why I came. I said, you know, I mean, I came all the way from McAllen to Brownsville. I'm like, he comes to my show, I go to his show.
Yeah.
We back each other up 100%, 110%. Man.
And
That's
this
the way I
guy,
am.
dude, this guy's been an absolute pillar in my life, and I just thank him for being such a positive influence in my life too, man. So thank you, Rock. And like always, guys, if you're watching, if you watched all the way to the end, make sure you comment, watch till the end. And that lets us know who's the most valuable fans, man. Like, if you watched all the way to the end, we just pray over you. And I like to say, let the Lord shine his face upon you and show you his favor always. And let the blood of his son cover you and your home always, man. God bless you guys. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on El Hoyo del Conejo, the rabbit hole. See you next time, friends.